Hello, Raiji from an even further future than the next Raiji will say she's from here. I'm sort of doing this preamble to this video to address a few things. Well, really to address one thing. This video is going to be a post-commentary, which, like, that sounds cool in idea, but I'm gonna be blunt with you. The post-commentary is kind of shit. And by kind of, I mean, like, it really sucks. Like, I sort of just yammer on and don't really say anything, and it kind of blows. Now, I did this post-commentary not because I thought, oh, I'll do a post-commentary like Foolish or like Vitatas or something. No, I did it more out of necessity. Because upon watching back my clear, I was listening to the same song on repeat for the entire run, and I don't know about you, but I feel like that would be really annoying to some people. So I decided to do a post commentary instead. Problem with that is that I don't know how to do a post commentary very well, and could not be asked to re-record the original one I did at 2 in the morning, out of sheer laziness. And the idea of just getting this video out of my hair, I suppose. So yeah, if at any point as you're watching this, you're thinking, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? Just know I'm right there with you. But yeah, that's really gonna do it from me. If you feel like the post commentary is really that egregiously bad, and you're like, damn, bitch, speak eloquently. Just, I don't know, just mute the video and put music on or something. But yeah, that's gonna do it from me. I will now send you to past Raiji, who's still in the future, I guess, from the Raiji who played the run. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. Bye bye. Hello, Raiji from the future here. And today I'm going to be doing a post commentary for my 67 Fear Mel Axe Clear. As you can see, we started with what I'd like to call a boated start, where not only did we start with Gigaros and Hammer, but also the best possible hammer for our weapon. In Boded's case with Mel's staff, that was dual moonshot. In mine, it is dashing heave, which essentially does the same thing. Here I jokingly thought about choosing location health, but ended up going with the obvious choice of gold because it will be incredibly broken when we use our timepiece in Oceanus. All in all, a lot of our gameplay on Melt Axe, especially with a hammer like Dashing Heave, will look a lot like you're going to see in the next couple of rooms. A lot of dash striking into special if we have the opening, or simply dash striking twice for even more damage if we also have an opening. A lot of axe gameplay is based around what kind of opening you get, unlike other weapons that can play in a way that allows them to mold the game to their own playstyle. With axe, you sort of have to play around the game and what it gives you. If an enemy is doing an attack and you don't think you can hit into it, then it might be best not to go for an opening. There we get a cocoon room and find our item very quickly, and get a mid-shop into Arachne into mini-boss combo, picking up 40 armor from Arachne, and grabbing a Zeus boon from the Rootstalker here. Rootstalker, along with all of the bosses in Erebus, are fairly simple for the Mel Axe, and we end up getting a blitz attack. Not the most optimal for the weapon, but it is still better than nothing. And it is still blitz, which is incredibly strong on pretty much everything in the game, since it is blitz after all. And it gets Zeus in our god pool, which can give us hopes of things like static shock in the future, or maybe double strike. Both things which, spoiler alert, we don't really get. What we do get, however, are two enemies that are absolutely awful on Mill-Axe and end up dropping a Galley to them, which means we're now down to only one Galley charge left. Here I went with the Nectar in order to get a palm for our attack and end up running into a fountain room, and then go with HP, as we're not really using a lot of magic. Normally, you would be using Whirlwind and incorporating that into your room clear. However, with Dashing Heave, it is, in my opinion, a better option to simply dash strike as much as possible in order to output as much damage as possible. Unfortunately for us, we lose our last Galley in this room as well. Overall, I would rate this Erebus as okay. Obviously, our boons and such were incredibly good, but our play, however, was not. I can excuse that by this being the first run I did of the day. However, there really is no excuse for poor play, and I should have simply locked in. Not buying that armor there was also a mistake, but I was sort of headstrong on just getting a run in. Here we have Hecate, which is perfectly fine on the axe. Unfortunately for me, I will not be playing this fight as well as I should have, but I think this encounter gives a sort of demonstration on how to play the axe during bossing. Just like with room clear, you sort of have to wait for certain openings in order to attack. Unlike on a weapon like Melstaff, where you can sort of free cast on the enemy, you kind of have to wait and see what the enemy is going to do before you really go in. On Hecate, this is especially apparent, as some of her attack combos, like Dark Side into maybe a swipe with her torches, is rather lethal compared to on other weapons. We take a bit of damage and then go for a sheepball dodge, which we actually dodge successfully. Might be normal for some of you, but I am quite bad at it sometimes, so that was a win. Here I'm just trying to clear up the witches, and we spot the real Hecate pretty easily. Here we just look for good openings. I simply run away here because I know that she's going to shoot her volley. Unfortunately for me, I'd play a bit greedy and end up taking a hit there, which is very unfortunate. And we clean up our Hecate, and we're out of Erebus. Overall, the Erebus is fine. Hecate kind of slogged us down, but our timer was so good from having a good hammer and a good start that we still have 1 minute and 18 seconds on the timer. We take an Ixion in the well, along with our time piece, to get a lot of gold. Not only from purging standard, but also from the fact that we have Chaos and Quick Buck helping us out. Obviously, we take our Chaos Gate, and upon purging our boon, we are greeted with 1,700 gold, which is incredibly high. And immediately we find our reward again. 2 for 2 on cocoon rooms. Quite nice. Here we get half in the pool and grab an anvil ring, unfortunately not finding anything like a trusty shield or a heavy metal. I wonder if we'll ever see half again. Place your bets. Here we see another friend, Apollo, which we'll be seeing a lot of. I know that's a bit of a spoiler, but we're going to be seeing a lot of Apollo, like an obscene amount. Here we have the Serpent mini-boss, which I play pretty poorly in, which is unfortunate. Usually I feel like my Serpent is okay, but I kind of just shit the bed on this one, I'm not gonna lie. Though we get out of it fairly unscathed. Losing a Galley is very bad, and losing the last of our armor is quite bad, but it could have been worse. Here I see hippos and lamina in a room, which for me means that I'm going to immediately focus anything that will shoot lasers, because I find that far scarier than hippos. I don't know about you guys, but that's typically how I would clear one of these rooms. At this point, I'm sort of just hitting anything in sight until I see something that would take prio, like this lemon, which I immediately charge. Decide to clear the yellow shades out because they're a bit scarier than the other enemies if left unattended. Then we clean up Hippo's armor and wait for it to port to us, and then clear it. Purging our ash, we find Apollo again. Thankfully for us, Apollo has a bunch of good boons that are still unclicked. At this point I'm thinking of things like Backburner, maybe Extra Dose, maybe even the special. This room is a little scary. It could have been scarier if the yellow shades had armor. Thankfully for us they don't. But unfortunately we lose a Gale there. Now running out of Gales for the location. Or the biome, sorry. Bit of a terminology fuck up there. Not very used to a post-commentary, and this is very unscripted, as you can tell. We end up taking Blinding Rush because it's an incredibly good sprint. Go into our in-shop with over 3,000 gold. Here we take Nitro Boost on Rare because that's just ridiculous and you have to click it. We go straight into our Sirens fight. Now in the live commentary, I said something here about wanting a crib this feature because I wanted practice with that and did not expect this run to be the one that won. Do you guys think we'll get a crib feature? Place your bets. Probably not. Honestly, I think a lot of people, oh, that was a bad resistance to take watching that back. That was pretty bad. A lot of people shit on the crib feature, and obviously it is rather hectic and crazy. It's really not the end of the world. It's not too bad. Oh yeah, oh my god, I forgot I got stuck on that. That's really bad. I was playing like dog shit. Holy fuck. For Sirens, I like to essentially just focus anything that is not currently trying to obliterate me off the face of the earth. If that's a tentacle, then I will hit the tentacle. If that's one of the Sirens, then that's who I'll hit. Skill is the only one left here. We just do a bit of damage to her until we phase her. And we get a Roxy feature. I like the Roxy feature. I think the patterns are good. Unfortunately, I dodged like shit there and ran directly into one that I knew was going to be there. Because I know my Roxy patterns. If you don't know your Roxy patterns, here's your time to go learn them. It will help you out a lot in this fight. It will essentially infantilize this phase and make it a lot easier on you. All in all, this Sirens is whatever. I feel like it could have been a lot better. But again, it could have been a lot worse. Here we just focus on Roxy a bit. Though she throws out a get off me pattern, and we swap to the tentacles again before going back to Roxy. There I learned from my mistake and wrapped around the side of the circle, which made dodging that a lot easier. And once again, it's only me and Skillet remaining. We do a bit more damage to clean her up after her clam dash. And we charge a whirlwind. If we had a percent attack, that would have done a lot more. Unfortunately for me, out of habit, I charged it. And it was probably better there to use our dash strikes to do a bit more damage. Though I think it worked out just fine. And we only ended up getting hit with one fish at the very end of the phase. Here I take Sash. Adamant Shard is also an option, though I think that I like Sash a bit more. One, it doesn't break our Fate's whim and allows us to keep our Gigaro stash for the rest of the run, which is incredibly helpful. And two, it guarantees that we will have a source of armor. My RNG, no matter how many boons I have, is pretty bad. And so I'm always a bit worried that I won't hit heavy metal or trusty shield. And in the few attempts that I have used the adamant shard, that has been exactly what has happened. So I think that I prefer sash a bit more. Though adamant shard, if you're lucky enough to hit the things you need, is probably better. Here I lose an arrows to a tempe, but that's fine. This is more or less just a standard fields encounter. I feel like a lot of fields encounters are... Ooh, that was a bad goal. I had to lose watching that back. Holy shit. I feel like most fields encounters are sort of whatever. It's a whole lot of potentially scary enemies that can show up. They usually don't show up in mass. And the area is so big that the most you're going to lose is time, and rarely any of your health. Unfortunately for me, however, I was very intent on playing poorly, and so we will be losing it to our fun little mini-boss behind this onion door, the Phantom, which, as a side note, I don't know the last time I've gotten the other mini-boss in Fields, the good old laser ensemble. I can only seem to get this mini-boss anymore, and it is really infuriating, because I would rather fight the other one. This one scares me. That aside, we focus on the enemies to get the room a little less clogged, and then focus on the punching guy since he was low enough. And then swap our attention back to the Phantom in order to kill it. Breaking our onion, we get into our Echo room. There are a few things you want from Echo, but the main one we want is evade, 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 which we luckily hit. This will allow us a lot more dodge chance for the rest of the run, which is a lot of survivability. Here we obviously take the door with the boon, the HP, and the hammer. Far better than whatever the fuck was on that other door. I wasn't really looking. We get some more standard fields encounters. Again, fields is fairly innocuous as a biome. It really just serves to waste your time more than serve any real danger to your HP outside of maybe the mini-boss, and occasional encounters that provide a bit more strife than usual. Here we get seething. As funny as Hell Splitter would have been, we can't take it. Where this isn't a 65 after all, it's a 67. Here we get a mini-boss, which is good for our timer, but a little scary for our HP. Here I get a little impatient back here and a skull charges me. I end up losing a Gale to the mini-boss. I believe that was our last Gale. Though it'll be okay, since Cerberus is not really the most challenging boss. It is a bit of a lull in the difficulty. A well-deserved one, but one nonetheless. Here we rush over to our Hera, activate our last encounter. I remember seeing that Shadow Spiller and hoping that it was a 2-enemy bugged encounter, but then was immediately greeted with an onslaught of munchers and punching guys, which is not very good. But we're able to clear up this encounter fairly quickly. Oh wait, no, oh my god, there's even more enemies. I forgot how evil this encounter was. The fuck, it's just a time waster. And if you want to see more time wasters, wait till we get into Tartarus. Oh my god. The encounters in there are asinine. Here we take a special, because the other 2 boons were useless, and it fills out one of our last core boons. We take an Ichor from the well. We go into our shop, where we see another Apollo picking up our back burner. We then palm our back burner for extra damage, and go into our Serb fight. This Serb is essentially a lock-in point for this run, as after I take a very stupid hit right here, yeah, right there, I sort of remember that, oh my god, this has the potential to win. and I stopped playing as shittily as I was prior to this fight. Which should clue you in that the Cerberus goes pretty okay. Which it does. I feel like Cerberus is a fairly simple boss. He has very slow patterns, which is good for Axe. The only problem that Axe has in this fight is if you start playing greedily, which, since I am a human being, I have the tendency to do so. Thankfully, I've been through Cerberus so many times at this point that I knew to play as patient as possible, sacking a bit of time for a safe encounter where we don't lose too much health. Cerb decides to time waster a little bit by burrowing, and we get ball spit instead of flame spray. There's flame spray. We dodge in the direction that Cerberus is looking and get out unscathed. Cerberus is paw slamming more. We dodge into the fourth one, as you do, and he burrows again, time wasting once more. Cerberus in general is less of a danger to your health and more a danger to your clock, especially on a weapon as slow as Mel Axe. Here we pulled out some shenanigans. It was essentially useless. I should have just dashed into the red circle, but alas, we got out of there unscathed. Here Cerb does more standard attacks. I will say on a post commentary, it's kind of hard to really speak over stuff like this. Because, like, I don't know, it's a Cerberus fight. Like, you know what to expect. We've all been here. It's like the most simple boss in the Underworld. It's kind of just nothing. Our clock is good at the end of the fight, which was incredibly invigorating for me. I felt as if, maybe this run was winnable if we hit a few win cases. Those being 1, good Tartarus rooms, 2, deep descent, and 3, actually locking in. Here we clicked Antler because obviously you always click Antler on 67, and to be completely real, you should always be clicking Antler, no matter the run, because Antler is fun, and at the end of the day, you should be having fun with the game. I will force you to have fun. Play Antler more, it's based. Here I saw a bunch of thugs, which made me extremely hopeful for this room, and then immediately saw skulls and went, oh my god, please give me more thugs. Thankfully, we got more, which helped speed up the room quite a bit. Though, the existence of these skulls in this first room should clue you into how this Tartarus will go, especially how I alluded to it prior. Here's the first offender, the Tempe. We're going to be seeing a lot of this motherfucker. Because for some reason the game forgot that there are other enemy types, and decided to spam it over and over and over again in the following rooms. Tempe are probably the scariest enemy for me in Tartarus, mostly because their fun little balls can fly around and clog up the entire room, forcing you to stand in awkward positions or forcing you to take an unnecessary hit. Thankfully for us, the encounter was rather quick. We get our Hades room, and with luck on our side, we pull deep descent. Unfortunately for us, we find more Tempe. Thankfully, these are armored once again, which means the room weight should be higher. Unfortunately for us, we get unstunnable skulls alongside them, which is not a very fun combination. However, we are able to clear up this room rather quickly and safely and move on to the next chamber. Unfortunately, more Tempe appear. All in all, I was starting to get a bit worried at this point of the timer, seeing as essentially every room has been utter dog shit so far. Though I knew with the power of deep descent and good play on our side, we would be able to clutch it out. I will say I was getting more and more concerned as the rooms went on. Thankfully that room was rather quick. This one, seeing satyrs, was a sort of breath of fresh air and a bit of a sigh of relief, knowing that this room would be, one, less scary, and two, certainly faster. That unarmored gold bag is a bit scary, but fortunately for us, we get a final wave of big enemies, which we're able to kill rather quickly. And we end up going into Kronos with just under 4 minutes. Here I paused the game to go get more water, and I guess I'll just use this as an opportunity to shill for this channel. If you like Hades 2 high fear gameplay, particularly 62s, 65s, and 67s, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. And hey, it could maybe get you some good content in the future if you think this is good content. Yeah. Oh, thank God that unpaused there. I don't know how long I could fucking waffle on. As you can see, this in-shop is horrible, so I end up buying the moon dust because it's hilarious and palming the attack. And we're into Kronos. Kronos on 67, you mostly want as many defensives as possible, as well as good damage. Our damage is fine. Our defensives, honestly, also fine. Nitro boost on rare means that while sprinting, we are able to resist 2 hits. We have an evade, which we have not used much of. And we still have galley blocks to use. Mostly what was going through my head in this fight was utilizing the most out of back burner, as it was our highest damage increase that we possibly had. And with great play, we would be able to make impeccable use of it. Dealing with our minions, all that's left was Kronos. As we have deep descent, he is not able to summon a mini-boss. Comparatively to my first Kronos fight on 67 Fear, this one felt a lot calmer. The first fight on my Melstaff clear, I was incredibly nervous and only got more and more nervous as the fight went on. By the end, I was a bit of a stumbling mess, tripping over my own words, freaking out, and chanting lock into myself over and over again. Go watch that clear back if you don't remember how that was. It was really bad. This clear, however, I was very calm. I had been to Kronos so many times and timed out so many times that it didn't really matter. And if I timed out again, it would have just been another drop in the bucket. Unfortunately for us in our P2 here, we were unable to break Kronos. Thankfully, he decided to be kind and use Orbeez, which gives us a lot of room to do a lot of damage very quickly. However, he does give us a really shit pattern here, and I lose a Galley charge. And then follow it up with 2 of the worst dodges you will probably ever see. Thankfully, Kronos decides to give us Orbeez again after this, and we're able to do a lot more damage to him. Unfortunately, he does vacuum, stopping us for a little bit, but we do apply pressure again quite quickly, going into final phase with 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is just enough time to get our kill. cutscene phase at the beginning of P3. As you know, you run around in a big circle and dodge through any stage hazards that might fall in your path. Time slow here was very scary, but thankfully Kronos felt very generous and decided not to triple scythe me, or cutscene, or do anything stupid that would make me incredibly upset. Here I misplay and try to do more damage while that stage hazard is closing in. What I should have done was dodge through it. Unfortunately, we drop another golly there. Here I over adjust on the triple scythe throw, which is unfortunate, though I will have a redemption dodge in just a little bit. Here Kronos drunkenly throws out two of the same move, giving us the biggest openings ever to do damage before he combo breakers with Orbeez. And there's our redemption dodge, proving that I actually can play the video game. Here I saw a clock hand and immediately got reminded of a certain run that happened recently where someone died to the clock hand. Thankfully, we had Nitro Boost and we end up clearing up Kronos without a hedge. I hope you enjoyed this run. I thought it was kind of subpar, but a win is a win, and I'll definitely take a win. Feeling free of this aspect is incredible. Upon winning, I did end up screaming, "I'm free," which was absolutely hilarious. Maybe I'll include that in the final cut. Maybe not. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my other videos, I guess, if you enjoy this kind of content, and I'll see you next time.